Hello and welcome to GrossiMath.com, where math is for everyone. Today we're going to be learning how to eliminate a coefficient. That sounds really fancy, right? But what that really means is how to get rid of numbers that are in front of variables. Sometimes they can be kind of annoying and we need to get rid of them. There are just two rules that are really important for you to distinguish and understand right now. Rule number one, if you move a whole term across the equal sign, so we've done that before. If we have a term and we move it across the equal sign and it was a positive term, what do we do with it? We make it a negative term. If we move a negative term across the equal sign, what do we do with it? We make it a positive term. But that only works if you move the entire term box. You have to move that whole box that I taught you how to draw a long time ago, way back in one of our first videos. Well, what if you need to get something out of the box? What if you need just one piece of the box to disappear? Well, if you only need a coefficient, meaning the number in front of the variable to disappear, you can use multiplication and division. The same like when you move plus over, it becomes minus. If you move a multiplier over, it becomes a divider. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. It's much easier when you see it in action. Let's look at example number one. I already identified the terms, guys. I'm trying to make these videos shorter. If you don't know what I have here, you need to go back and watch some previous videos because the videos will get incredibly long if we review everything every time. We're going to solve this equation. Of course, when I see the word solve, I set up my goal down here at the bottom. Now up here in my term boxes, I just look and I see right away that I have a negative x. If I have a negative x, that's a blank right there, right? So I can put a coefficient of 1 in there. I'm allowed to do that. It's an implied 1. I put little dots so that I know it was an implied 1 and I remember to take it out later if I don't need it. So now we've got our equation all set up. And what we're going to do is just say, okay, look, in my goal, I need x to be on the left. And here I have an x term on expression number 1. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get that positive 8 out of expression number 1, just like we've been practicing. And I'm going to, because I'm moving the whole entire box, I'm going to change it to a minus 8. So I'm going to get rid of that positive 8 right there. It changed to minus 8 when it went over to expression number 2. Now I'm going to put negative implied 1x equals, and right here, I have 12 minus 8. Well, this expression can simplify because these are both constants. I'm allowed to combine them. If you watched our video about combining like terms, you're allowed to combine. 12 minus 8 makes 4. Now I'm looking at my equation again, and what's the problem right now? Okay, so this is where we're going to do some new learning right here. Identify your terms. So when I look at this problem, I see that I have negative implied 1x being equal to 4. Well, here I have just x, and this area in front of the x is a blank. So what do I need to get rid of? Well, I need to get rid of this negative 1 right here. It's bothering me. So I need to get rid of this negative 1. Well, what would we normally try to do? Well, somebody's going to say, it always happens, somebody's going to say, just bring it over and make it a positive 1. And you can't do that. You can't do that. You know why you can't do that? Because you're not just moving the negative 1. If you move the term, you would have to move the x. And you cannot move the x. You know why? Because in your goal, you said you wanted the x to be in expression number 1. So why would you make extra work by moving it to expression number 2? You can't do it. That's the reason you can't do it. Technically, you could hypothetically do it, but if you do, you need to also move the x, and that's not helping you reach your goal. So you see what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense for you to make that maneuver. So what we're going to do is not try to put plus 1. What we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, if I'm outside the box, I can do that. I moved over my positive 8, and here I have my negative 8. Here, I'm trying to just move the negative 1. Well, when you move a coefficient, in this box, it's next to the x, so that means what's it doing? It's multiplying. Right now on the expression number 1, the negative 1 is a multiplier. So when I move it to the other side of the equal sign, I can just make it a divider. Notice that I did not change the sign. You know why? Because when you move whole terms, you're messing with basically adding and subtracting, or plus signs and minus signs. But when you move coefficients, you're messing with the multiplication and division family. Let me put the multiplication with parentheses because that's usually more understandable. Once you start with algebra, the x can be confusing. So here, adding and subtracting are only when we're working with the entire term. If we're working with coefficients, we're focused on multiplication and division. So this went from being a multiplier on this side to being a divider on this side. And you see how it's on the bottom of the fraction? Just like in our pre-lesson, we learned anything that's on the bottom of the fraction counts as a divider. So now we got rid of our -1, and all we have to do is simplify. X equals 4 divided by -1, which makes -4. And there we go. That's my final answer. So that's how you can get rid of a coefficient. Okay, let's try it one more time. Here's another example, slightly different. We're going to do all of our rules in this one so far. Okay, first I'm going to put my equal sign, and I'm going to switch these around. Why am I switching them around? Because I see I need my x to be an expression number 1. So I'm going to move this whole expression on the right over here, 3x minus 5. I'm going to move my 15 over to this side. And now I'm going to identify my terms. Now I see my x term is already on the left, so that looks good to go. I'm going to go ahead and move my -5 term out of the way and make it a +5. Now I get rid of this -5 because I moved it. And what am I going to get when I rewrite? 3x equals, now 15 plus 5 are both constants, so we're allowed to add them up. Remember, a constant is a term that contains no variables. Okay, so 15 and 5 are both constants, therefore we're allowed to add them and make 20. Here are my two expressions, excuse me. But guess what? The 3 is a pain in the butt. I want a blank to be here, okay? I cannot move the 3 over and make it +3. Why not? Because I would also have to move the x, and again, we want the x to be here. We don't want it to be an expression number 2, so I can't do my plus and minus trick. I need a new trick. And that's the trick we're learning in this video. Because it's next to the x, that counts as multiplication. So here it is a multiplier. When I move it to the other side, it just needs to become a divider. Okay, so now what do I get? I get x equals 20 over 3. Can I simplify this fraction? No, they don't have any common numbers that I could divide, so I cannot do that. Can I make a regular integer out of this? In other words, can I make a number that has no decimals? No. So I can just leave the fraction alone. Somebody's going to say, sir, I think that you're not allowed to have the big number on top of a fraction. That is not true. You are definitely allowed to have the big number on top of a fraction when you are in algebra class. When you are in elementary school, that's a different story. There are different rules for different reasons, but that would make the video long if I explain the reasons. What's really important is that you understand that this is a perfectly fine thing to have in algebra, and this is actually the correct answer that you would see on any test that would be an algebra exam for this problem. All right, guys. I hope you've learned something today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon. And of course, to visit the website where math is for everyone, www.grossimath.com. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you in the next video.